Welcome guys, welcome to my channel and my page, 𝐴𝑁𝐺𝐸𝐿𝑂'𝑆 with you as usual, and I found this filter very fascinating and I decided to put this filter on. So our today's conversation is going to be about the astrology, about intuitive astrology in general. What is intuitive astrology and where is it coming from, and how can we actually express that astrology is really working? So let me tell you about this. The thing is that the astrology has a very ancient history, I would say. And a lot of people think that the current religions in the world have somehow been taken from the roots of the astrology, which is possibly quite undeniable fact because there's a lot of similarities in astrology. And when it comes to religion and astrology, they have some sort of similarity, specifically the Christianity. But again, let's take a deeper look into the astrology and where it's coming from, okay? So a lot of people ask me, as of my clients or just people on TikTok or on YouTube, keep asking me the questions, how do you suggest that astrology is working? How come astrology can be working? Actually, there's the rules and the law of the physics in the world, and that's what we believe in. And how come astrology can work? How come the planetaries can actually affect us? So the answer to that question is quite complicated, of course, because there are different sources and there are different theories about the astrology. But I'm going to go with the theories that I know, that I've been reading for all this 11 years and trying to educate myself about the roots of astrology. So the first thing I want to say about astrology is that a lot of people think that astrology has a lot to do with, with the malefic or negative powers and energy, specifically as the religion says. But in fact, astrology has nothing to do with the negative energies or with kind of like the dark forces or anything else. As a fact to that, we can take the Bible, and right at the beginning of the Bible, we can see that 3 astrologers came to the king ibtried and told him and warned him about the arrival of Messiah, which says that actually the Bible does actually approve and does show the examples of astrology, and it's been a quite valid thing. The other thing is that about the religion view, astrology is kind of not. I mean, like nevertheless, not to say that astrology has anything to do with the current cosmic planetary system, but astrology is more likely the part of the human soul and the human subconscious. How, would you ask? Well, first of all, again, going back to the religious sources, the religion actually in the Christianity says that the God created the world within the 7 days, or during the 7 days, right? So if we take those days and if we look into those days and their names and the correspondence of each day of the week to the astrology, then we can find that they're all similar to the 7 planets, right? Monday means the day of the moon, Sunday means the day of the sun, Saturday, for example, means the day of the Saturn. So this can just kind of more or less give us already an understanding that astrology is as ancient as the human history. And of course, even though later on, after the pagan ages, their religion came into the world, astrology still is being quite relevant to these days. For example, let's talk about the alchemy. Alchemy wasn't able to actually survive after the 16th century, and that's why alchemy was disappeared. Absolutely, the alchemy was gone. But if people are still nowadays resorting to astrology, there is some sort of probably the proof behind this, and there's some sort of meaning behind this. It means that astrology has been helping to guide people along the way throughout the centuries and the years. And another question is that, is astrology a predictive tool or is it a guidance tool? This is also quite complicated rhetoric, because a lot of astrologers can say that actually astrology is more like a predictive tool. Meanwhile, others say that it's a guidance tool and help us to organize our life and to know what to focus on. But very funny thing that I want to talk about astrology, because as you know, in the ancient times, and we're not talking about the modern Western astrology, but we're talking about the European astrology or the Eastern astrology, which is mainly was the Arabic astrology, Kabbalistic astrology, Vedic astrology, right? And also, of course, the Oriental and Chinese astrology, but the Chinese astrology's history is a little different to the Eastern astrology. So at that point, as we can see, astrology was using only 7 planets, which means that there was no generational planets such as Pluto. There was no generational planets such as Uranus or Neptune. included into the astrological readings or astrological guidances. So going back to this subject, we can say that actually, going back to this subject, as I would like to say, so for example, there are 7 planets in the 7 main planets, right, in the cosmic universal appearance. So let's say that we're not taking into consideration the generational planets, because as the science goes on and as the current astronomy says to us now, the Saturn is about to lose its ring around it, and also the Pluto hasn't been considered a planet already for a couple of years. So in fact, the Pluto and the Saturn are kind of still, not the Saturn, but I would say they're more like a Pluto is coming out of the scene of the astrology. But the Western astrology still has the Pluto included into its interpretation, and which makes a great sense. But again, going back to the ancient astrology, then what we can say is that, for example, let's say that from the point of view of the science, right, as we know, the moon is considered the closest one to the Earth. And as we know, every time when there's a full moon, every time when the moon just gets a bit closer to the Earth, then we do experience some sort of natural disasters, and specifically related to the water level. So the rise of the oceans, the rise of the seas and lakes, and all these things. And of course, as a human being, as a species herself, we actually almost 80% consists of the water. And of course, that is quite a scientific fact that the moon can affect us and affect our mood and affect ourselves, because as long as we also 80% consist of the water, right, at this point. So how come if the moon affects our body, then why not all other planetary systems in our solar system cannot affect us, right? So this is actually kind of contradictory. But of course, at that point, the people were still arguing about this over and over again, and just was wondering if this could be a possibility or not. But also, even from the point of view of the religion, as we take a look at the Bible, it says that the God has created the person according to its own image, right? So very fun fact, I would say, that astrology, and there are 7 planets, main planets in astrological life, which each of these planets is representing certain day of the week, as well as when it comes to our human nature. Each of these planets is responsible for certain emotion and for certain behavioral pattern, right? So that's what I did actually my research the other day, and I found out that there were 7 main emotions, 7 essential emotions that the human go through, as well as there are 7 essential parts of the brain that the human beings have that are responsible for their emotions. So taken from that perspective, we can actually clearly see that astrology might be one of the very deepest, I would say, that spiritual learnings deeply related to our subconscious, deeply related to our ancestral subconscious, that is still lasting up to this day. So which means that actually also there is 7 chakras. Though for those of you who know the chakras, they can understand that there are 7 main chakras. Of course, there are more than 7, but the main chakras in our body, beginning from the our crown chakra and ending up with the life chakra, there are 7 main chakras, which actually another kind of coincidental, but yet again very, very kind of proven fact that all these things are related in between. So what I'm trying to say at this point is that if the astrology wasn't legit, if the astrology wasn't able to guide the person, if the astrology wasn't able to actually give us the guidance that we're looking into, then astrology wouldn't have survived throughout so many years, specifically being created in the ancient Babylon that was before the centuries, even when Jesus was born. So if we take a closer look at this, and if we take a look at the 12 months of the year, which is the 12, which can be also corresponded from the religion point of view to the 12 students of Jesus Christ, right? So everything actually makes sense when you bring them back together, and it's believed that also Jesus' translation in one of the ancient languages might mean the sun. So the Jesus might be the source of the energy, the source of the life as a sun, and everything else that comes after this is being right around it, just like the planets are actually rotating around our solar system around the sun. So this is the first part of my little explanation about how astrology can work and how astrology actually has the roots in its history. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the second part of my video very soon.